USC can advance to the Pac-12 championship game and keep their college playoff hopes alive. But in order to do so, they're going to have to defeat a Bruins team that absolutely humiliated them in their own crib last year. Hi, I'm James of Faithful Angelino Sports with a preview of a game we have all been waiting for across the Southland. Number 7 USC versus number 16 UCLA. And if you enjoy talking about either the Trojans or the Bruins, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. We talk about both schools here a lot. Now, the storylines have been building like a skyscraper ever since last season when, frankly, UCLA just whooped the Trojans to within an inch of their lives, 62-33 at the Coliseum. At that time, if you were a UCLA fan, you could easily be excused for thinking that the sky was the limit for a long-maligned program. You know, you're figuring we parlay a big rivalry win into a bowl win and becoming a recruiting destination for California's elite athletes, finally cornering the market on USC. Only the Bruins shot themselves in the foot by skipping that bowl game due to COVID protocols. And then, of course, USC breaks out the checkbook to pry Lincoln Riley out of Oklahoma. And since then, this season has been terrific. Because both schools, if you've noticed throughout the year, it's almost like they're kind of looking over their shoulder at each other, just trying to one-up the other along the way. And it's been absolutely compelling to watch. I've been telling you guys since I started this channel in February that the Pac-12 conference is at its best when both USC and UCLA are strong. Not Oregon, not Washington, but the two LA schools. So, you know, earlier this season on a random Friday night, you might be wearing your USC gear, drinking a beer, and rooting against UCLA, hoping that they lose to Washington. Nope. And then the next night, a UCLA fan might be having a beer and rooting his ass off, hoping that Arizona State upends the Trojans. Wrong. Didn't happen. The only thing that USC and UCLA seem to agree on is that Pac-12 After Dark sucks. And they're right. The only thing that kept this particular game from being a winner-take-all shot at the Pac-12 title game is that Arizona spoiled the party last weekend by beating the Bruins last week in the Rose Bowl. And that loss weighs heavily on both how SC and UCLA should approach this game. We'll get to that in a minute. And by the way, the Bruins still have a shot at the Pac-12 title game, but they do have to beat USC. USC wins, it's a done deal. Both offenses put up points in bunches. I think we all know that. Both defenses are somewhat suspect. And from that, I think we can all agree it's going to be a high-scoring game. It's going to make predictions hard to come by, but I will make one maybe after flipping a coin. We're going to get there. Now, when UCLA has the ball, I see no reason for the Bruins to deviate from their primary offensive strategy. They have a two-headed monster of running in both quarterback Dorian Thompson-Robinson and back Zach Charbonnet. The latter is the leading rusher in the conference. UCLA's had games where they've rushed for more than 400 yards. USC's defense had an okay game against the run last week, but let's be real, that was against Colorado. To be honest, the way I look at this game, the more the Bruins run the ball, the better off they're going to be. And it's not just because it keeps USC from gaining possession, but it's also because USC does rush the passer. Tuli Tuipulotu leads the conference in sacks. The Trojans also lead the Pac-12 in creating turnovers, mostly through interceptions. If this game comes down to UCLA's wide receivers having to make plays, USC is going to be happy to make that trade. Not because Thompson-Robinson can't throw. He's completed 71% of his passes. So yes, he can throw. But the Trojans, in my opinion, are probably sitting there going, oh, we would love it if you do, because we think we're going to get a couple of picks out of the deal. You see? Now, the Bruins can't say that when USC has the ball. A friend of mine who's been a big UCLA fan all of his life, and we were messaging each other a little bit about the game, and he was talking about how the Bruins had to face better competition, that USC didn't face Oregon, which I think is a fair point to make. but then it hit me. Is it more the other team or the other team's quarterback that gives UCLA problems? They had problems with Oregon's Bo Nix. They had problems with Utah's Cameron Rising. The Bruins lost to Arizona's Jaden DeLora, who was a Pac-12 Offensive Freshman of the Year last year. If it's the opposing quarterback, but not the opposing team's offense, Caleb Williams is by far the best quarterback that UCLA is going to face this year. The man has passed for 31 touchdowns with just 2 picks. And I don't know which one of those 2 numbers is more impressive, frankly. When the Trojans landed Biletnikoff winner Jordan Addison, I described the offense as invincible, and I stand by that assessment. I like the fact for UCLA that Leatu Letu, I like him rushing USC's offensive line, but I think Williams can avoid him. I do agree that the loss of running back Travis Dye, to quote Coach Riley, sucks, but Austin Jones averages 6.5 yards per carry. And by the way, I need to make a couple of side notes during this clip. One is that the notoriously overly emotional LA Times columnist Bill Plaschke actually believes Thompson Robinson is a better quarterback than Williams. I don't know where the hell he came up with that assessment. Again, I don't have a problem with Thompson Robinson as a thrower or as a rusher. But 31 touchdowns to 2 picks, and you're telling me that is inferior? You have lost your mind. There are things about UCLA that are better. Even if Travis Dye was healthy, I would take Zach Charbonnet any day of the week. But Williams is absolutely not the lesser quarterback. And by the way, Bruins defensive coordinator Bill McGovern might not be at the game due to an illness. So I mentioned the Arizona game. If I'm USC or UCLA, I'm studying the Bruins' loss to Arizona hard for any sort of an edge. If I'm on the Bruins coaching staff, I tell the team that if we play that way again, we are going to lose big. The things that we did not execute against the Wildcats will damage us even more against Caleb Williams. And meanwhile, if I'm USC, I'm salivating because everything that Arizona can do, USC can do it better. So what caught my eye for the winning edge this week? Because these are 2 damn good offenses. Can't front. What is the winner's edge? Thompson Robinson has done something I just don't like. I don't like trash talking quarterbacks. I don't think it's wise for quarterbacks to give bulletin board material to the other team. You hardly ever see it for a reason. If you look throughout history, and I realize the pro game is vastly different than the college game, trash talking quarterbacks rarely get the title. You could say maybe Jim McMahon did, yeah. Maybe Joe Namath, maybe Aaron Rodgers. McMahon definitely. But I want my quarterback to be so mentally fried from film study that all he can focus on is the game. Not how much he hates the other team, the game. Things to exploit. Let everybody else be emotional. Let my teammates be emotional. Let the coaches, let the fans be emotional. Let everybody else lose their stuff. But I've got bigger fish to fry. I have to know everything that's going on the field, not just from my own offense, but the opposing defense. I cannot look to be emotional about this. So you have Thompson Robinson saying that he wants to drop more than 60 on USC again. How much he hates USC. Oh, hate. And then the scribes go to Caleb Williams for rebuttal, and he's all, yeah, I'm treating this just like it's another game. Quote, when you start trying to ramp up things, when you start trying to, do things that you haven't normally done, or do things that aren't regular or anything like that, bad things start to happen. Like I said, we're treating it like a regular game here, unquote. Exactly what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to give the cliches. You're supposed to give empty platitudes to the opponent. And he has been. He said nothing but nice things about the Bruins defense, the coaches, the uniforms, the mascots, the cheerleaders. He has no problem, he is saying, with UCLA. Big games are a time for big quarterback play. Last year, Thompson Robinson was the guy who was focused. He was way focused, more so than Keaton Slovis and Clay Helton's band of merry incompetence. This year, it is going to be an overly emotional Thompson Robinson against a bona fide Heisman candidate who doesn't make mistakes. I'm taking USC. And if I'm wrong, hit me. I have it coming. I'll acknowledge it. Now, if you enjoyed this lengthy little clip, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelinos. We talk about the Trojans and Bruins here. Thank you for watching. I'm James. Faithful Angelinos is a Corte El Queso production. Take care.